Tonight, as the president-elect announces his pick to run the Pentagon, the current president has been busy packing our nation's Defense Department with loyalists. In its latest shakeup, the White House fired 9 members of the Pentagon's Defense Business Advisory Board. In their place, the president put in allies, including former campaign officials Corey Lewandowski and David Bossie. The move led our next guest, one of the few surviving board members, to turn in his resignation. In his resignation letter, he wrote, quote, "In exchange for ideological purity, the abrupt termination of more than half of the Defense Business Board and their replacement with political partisans has now put the nation's safety and security at risk. My service to the Department of Defense was a service to the country, not to a party." And so we are pleased to welcome to the broadcast tonight Steve Blank. He's a military veteran himself. He's one of the pioneers of Silicon Valley, a startup specialist who's launched many a venture. He teaches at Stanford and Berkeley and Columbia in New York in his spare time, and he was a member of the Defense Business Board before he resigned in protest. Talk about your personal decision. The president clearly decided to cheapen the roles, the people who used to fill the seats alongside you around the conference table, like tossing out doubloons at Mardi Gras from a parade float. They've now been cheapened with the likes of Corey Lewandowski and David Bossie. So you chose it was of enough value to you to leave than to stay.
Well, yes, that's a colorful characterization of what happened. But for me, Brian, I grew up in the 20th century remembering, ideological purges and political commissars in the Soviet Union, where there was only one party and one set of thoughts. And if you didn't think that way, life wasn't good for you. You certainly didn't get to advise the government. And from the United States point of view, we realized that's why the Soviet Union or all authoritarian governments were weak, because they didn't encourage diversity of thought. We, on the other hand, acted as a single nation, and no one asked, and even in sport and all these boards, no one knew what party you were from. I still couldn't tell you what party any of my board members were from. The idea was to give the country the best advice, period. And all of a sudden, when I saw this change, I asked some friends in Washington, what's the best way to kind of approach this? And the advice I got in general was, just stick it out and it'll be over in 40 some odd days. And I thought that for about that overnight. And then I realized 2 things. One is I couldn't look myself in the mirror in the morning. And 2 is I couldn't look my kids in the eye for the next 43 days. Because we've preached, and I've taught my students this in all my schools, is that you have an opportunity in life to serve your God, your country, your community, your family, in whatever order you want, but you ought to serve. And I here was choosing to serve my country and didn't think I was going to be able to do it well under these circumstances. So I stepped out, and I think we'll have a change in 6 weeks, and God bless the country and the new president.
Final question. The historian Michael Beschloss said on this broadcast that he viewed this election as a really close call for democracy. He believes we've come out the other side. Are you as convinced that the close call is over and sunnier days are ahead?
I think this, at least for me, proved that how fragile democracy is and how destructive social media is. And it also made me think about history a bit, Brian, is that, nations fail for a couple of reasons. They fail because they lose wars, or they fail because they decline in economic power, or they miss, military innovations or doctrine. But they also fail because of internal wars or dissension. And there's only been one country that's come back from decline in 500 years, and that's China. I fear for our country. And I think a lot of people ought to be thinking about standing up for what they believe in and focus on country, not party. This American experiment's probably been the best thing that's happened to the world since modern civilization, and we all ought to support it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.